There's a very common question I hear over and over. Should I be a corporation, an LLC, or something else? I'm Elizabeth A. Nixon, attorney at law, here to answer these really good questions for you, and it's probably much easier than you think. There are really three main choices when it comes to finding which business entity you should be, and you may have heard of them already. A C corporation, an S corporation, or an LLC. What's the difference? Well, a C corporation is a company that is taxed twice, once at the shareholder level and once at the director level. An S corporation is taxed once, and an LLC is also only taxed once but has some unique benefits to it. Well, let's talk about a C corporation first. And if you answer this question yes, you should be a C corporation. Do you want to be taxed twice? It's that easy. Why would a C corporation be taxed twice and you get to choose no? It sounds like one of those loopholes, doesn't it? But really, if you think about it this way, think of Microsoft. Think of Bill Gates and the Microsoft shareholders. Bill Gates and the Microsoft company is a C corporation, and at that corporate level, it's taxed. Those directors, that company, taxed, and that makes sense. But the shareholders, the general public, when they receive their dividends, that's the shareholder level of taxation. And in that sense, it makes sense. So if you're a large corporation traded on the stock exchange with separate directors and shareholders, a C corporation is what you must be. Well, what about the rest of us? For example, my law firm, I am an S corporation. Why? Because I'm both the director and the only shareholder. It wouldn't make sense for me to pay tax twice on the same dollars. And actually, the IRS recognizes that, believe it or not. So if you're an individual or a small group of people who have come together to do business together, an S Corp, more than likely, 90% of the time, is the choice of entity you want to have. Now an LLCs are kind of popular and people think that that's exactly what they want to be, but let me give you the very unique circumstances that make an LLC work and why an LLC is not always the choice of entity. An LLC works where you have two partners, one who's the investor and one who's the worker. So we see this with medical research, where you have somebody investing money into research and then the biologist who does the work. In that situation, they come together and an LLC works. It is also very common in the film and entertainment industry. Why? Because you have an investor or somebody who comes to the table with funds, and then you have the producers who are actually going to make the film. They're not often the same. Well, why does that work for an LLC, and why wouldn't you be an S corporation? And the answer to that question is nice and easy again. An S corporation, if you have two people who come together, has some limits on how money can be allocated internally. What does that mean? Well, for example, if you have two partners and they say we are going to be 50-50 partners, that means they must, by law, share all profits 50-50 and all losses 50-50. Well, when LLCs first came to light, it was because in this situation where you had an investor and a worker, and they want to be 50-50 partners because they're sharing in this enterprise together, right? They're in it together and they want to be. But the investor says, listen, I have other businesses and I expect this enterprise that we're doing together probably to lose money the first 1 or 2 years. So I want to take those losses to write off other profits. And in fact, I want to take 100% of the losses for the first couple of years. Well, the guy who's doing the work doesn't care. He's getting his salary if it's making money. And so he agrees it's worth it to me to trade off losses or even the profits for the first couple of years. I'll trade off, you can take a greater percentage of the profits until your investment is paid back. Then when the investment is paid back, we'll come back to 50-50. Well, remember I said an S corporation by law must split all profits and all losses 50-50. So if you're a couple of guys and you're in business together and you are bringing equal money or equal work to the table, then an S corporation will probably work for you. If, however, there's an investor and a worker, an LLC will work. Why? Because you can say we are 50-50 partners and hold the membership stock equally, but you can say year to year, well, this first year, the investor can take 100% of the losses. And by year 3, he can take 70% of the profits. But at some point, it will even out. The benefit is, in an LLC, you can remain 50-50 partners, but each year allocate profits and losses disproportionately. So, how do you know whether you should be a corporation or an LLC? Nice and easy. If you're traded on the stock market, or your directors and owners are separate from their shareholders, a C corporation is the only time you want to be a C corporation. But if you only want to be taxed once, an S corporation is the right way to go. And if your partnership is an investor and a worker, LLC. It's that easy. Stay tuned for more helpful information that will give you the confidence you need to launch into your business destiny.